It's happening again. More murders. I can't believe it's happening under my watch too. The most famous and influential YouTuber of all time. My time is up on this beat. I can't protect these streets. I never could. I guess I was always destined to be a desk jockey. One last case. Then I can put this whole weird detective side gig to bed and go play Animal Crossing. Goddamn, I love Animal Crossing. Video game movies, and now the coup de grace. But there's one thing I gotta take care of right now. That's better. Right then, Fallout, The Last of Us, Halo, the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, The Legend of Zelda, and The Legend of Neil? Maybe not that last one. Video game TV shows have existed just about as long as video game movies have. But looking back at our previous two investigations, when it came to how people perceived things and what the actual facts were, the writing was very much on the wall in both cases. But will the writing be the same on this wall, on this different wall? Let's talk about that. Alright, so here's something that is absolutely freaking crazy and is gonna blow the bollocks off your body. Remember last time and the time before that, our quantitative data looked like this and also this, right? Largely negative. It's giving negative. I don't know how to use that phrase. I'm old. Take a breath. If you're standing, sit down. If you're sitting down, stand up, then sit down. The bar graph. The metal as fuck bar graph for TV shows based on video games looks like this. When you call my name. But wait, because there is still red. Stay there. Here's the thing about the red. This is the part that's really gonna blow your cock off. Oh no, please don't blow my cock off. When you look across the board of data that I've collected and put into this bar graph, it would suggest that as time has gone on, we figured it out. The way that reviews and shows being produced chronologically would suggest that we figured out how to tell a story on TV with the game. I'm not gonna lie, I got a bit distracted because my camera started doing some weird shit. Actually, my cock's alright, thanks. Alright.
I'm not gonna forget that.
We like making fun of bad shit, right? So, let's have a look at some of it. Let's have a look in this little sin bin here of things that really didn't do super great. They should rename that bin, actually. Donkey Kong Country. This is Donkey Kong Country from 1996. A year before your old boy was born. Brought together by Nelvana Limited, Media Lab Studios, and later on would also be worked on by Hongguang Animation. Christ, please, I hope I've pronounced that right. These guys are actually responsible for such gems as Clone High. And also the tunes from Planet Orange. They're being created in 1996, you'd probably assume that they would be going down the 2D animation route. After all, in 1996, CGI wasn't exactly... it wasn't exactly good. 2D would be the best bet. But Donkey Kong Country said,
I've only been in here for a moment.
Well, for that moment, your behavior was very good. Let's go.
instead, this puppy is not just 3D animated, but it's also majority motion capture. And let me tell you something, Clive, the results are incredible. Take a look for yourself.
Your love is like a dream come true.
Oh, cranky! Come and meet and greet the new ruler of Kong.
Goodbye, eyes. So whilst the bodies were motion captured, the faces were keyframed. That's kind of what led to all of this. But whilst all of this has been incredibly encapsulated in a video by one video game donkey,
Dream come true.
it was never going to stand the test of time. Right? In a weird way, the legacy of the show has continued to today because the Scottish band called Ailstorm, who you may know for a genre called pirate metal, that is a thing that existed if you didn't know, actually covered a song that was an original song created called Pirate Scorn from the Donkey Kong Country TV series. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a bop. The band responsible for such tunes as Anchor and others with very fruitful lyrics are also responsible for this. Now, of course, I can't show you it here for copyright reasons, but it kind of sounds like this.
I'll make you swamp the deck and then I'll throw you in the brink. I swear I'll make you walk the plank to right the wrong you did. The day you mess with scurvy or you wish you're never born. When the coconut is mine, then you'll feel this pirate scorn.
You know, but better. I can't believe pirate metal is a genre. I live near Newcastle upon Tyne, and years ago, Ailstorm were playing in Newcastle, and there were people just everywhere in town dressed like pirates, and that's actually that is metal as fuck. I love that shit. Also falling into this red bracket are the likes of Mario with the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and The Legend of Zelda with The Legend of Zelda. Mortal Kombat also weirdly falls into this bracket. But the question is, why didn't all of these work? And why are they all kind of from the same time? Except for The Witcher. Blood Origin from 2022. That's also apparently very bad. You're just a little anomaly. You're just a little anomaly in the point I'm trying to make. So, there we go. Looking at the years, you could make the argument that they didn't have a great deal of source material to go off. But, as we also established in the last video, that doesn't really matter, because half the time studios will just take the IP and the characters and places and just do their own thing anyway. Mario and Zelda really suffered around this time for some reason. Not just on TV. It's been talked to death. I'll make a video about it. So, in keeping with what I was saying about chronology, surely that means that everything in this yellow bracket was kind of the early mid-2000s. Right? No. Look who's there! Oh! Resident Evil! What a fucking surprise! Resident Evil once again swings for the fences, completely misses, and the ball hits the backstop somehow in the willy bits. I'm not even sure how you managed that. And as we've discussed in previous videos, the trend is usually I feel physically sick after watching this. My dog has died and my wife left me. It has nothing to do with the show, but you know. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life! This time out, both parties are in agreement that this is a complete stinker. There are, of course, people in every fandom pocket that will defend anything to the death. Any pocket. Any pocket. And which would explain why the reviews don't quite make it fall into the Red Death. But this show It came out in 2022. This show could have had the easiest slam dunk in the world by just telling the story of 1996's Resident Evil and its 7-hour playtime. Or it could have told the story of 1998's Resident Evil 2 and its 9-hour playtime. Or it could have told the story of Resident Evil 3. Yes, he's still going with the plethora of reference material that the producers and writers could have drawn from. But whilst the talking point really has been to do with relevance, Resident Evil 2022 bears none to its source material bar a few names and logos. And thank God, it was cancelled. Netflix, who produced Resident Evil 2022, also tried the CGI route with Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Looking at its surface elements, it could technically work. It's using the game's engine to render all of the animations. The actors have returned from the game to reprise their roles to lend credence to the entire project. But arguably the most important thing is completely missing. A story. It's missing story in length and depth, like a garden swimming pool. And at the tippy top of the middle stack, barely breaking into the almost pretty okay good, is Sonic the Hedgehog from 1993. A show which took the skeletal elements of the 1991 game, Robotnik bad. Robot freak minions, they bad. And of course, the lesson everybody took away from Sonic the Hedgehog, how not to get molested.
But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good.
There are ways to take an IP's parts and fashion it into a fleshed out, breathing, living world TV show thingamajig. Right? Right. And do you know what show did that really, really well? Cuphead, the Cup show. You see, whilst the Cuphead show does have a kind of hybrid style of more modern animation styles and the classic Fleischer animations that inspired it, it clearly has talented writers and production staff behind it that clearly knew which direction to take this show in. They clearly knew how to use the source material, and they knew how to write towards the audience they were targeting. And whilst I haven't watched the entire show, I did watch some of it for this video. I'm not gonna lie, whilst it's not something that I would typically watch, I really enjoyed it.
There's always glue. Your hat is on crooked.
Yep, just the way I like it.
In fact, I can't leave Sugarland on account of an ancient curse. I'm still okay.
There are some really stupid jokes that land quite well for me, somebody who is kind of a fan of The Amazing World of Gumball and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Okie dokie, we finally arrived at the big old stack of green. What fell into it? Why did it work? You already know what's coming. When I talked a little bit earlier about the chronology of things and how as time's gone on, it kind of seems like we've hit the good times, I wasn't kidding. It really seems like we have. Since about 2015, we've just hit like a renaissance of video game TV shows. In 2017, we got the Castlevania anime adaptation, and it is insanely good. The first series being based on Castlevania 3, and then season 2 being based on Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Complete side note, by the way, there is so much video game anime out there. I can't speak as to whether it's any good or not because I don't really watch anime. But hey, if you like anime, you can go and watch all of this. I did watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners though, and that was very good. How do you do, fellow weebs? For the 4 seasons that Castlevania ran, it was held in incredibly high regard by both critics and the audiences, citing that the animation was beautiful, and brutal, that the story was gripping, and it was also cited for its accessibility to those who are fans of the game and just wanted someone who just wanted to see a man die. In 2019, The Witcher starring Henry Cavill is released, and whilst the first season wasn't held in super high regard, the series would only move from strength to strength, remaining an incredibly fun watch for fans of the books and the games alike. Oh, Henry Cavill's something else, man, didn't he? The Witcher took the world of The Witcher, the characters of The Witcher, and produced its own narrative with elements that are directly inspired by the game, and because of the writing and the talent behind it, it flourishes.
Except that last season.
In 2023, The Last of Us, starring Pedro Pascal, is released. And I fucking love this thing. The series not only adapting directly from the game's narrative, but also taking creative liberties where it felt necessary. One entire episode dedicated to telling the story of this guy, a character who is barely featured in the games, having an entire episode to himself to tell his entire life story. And it's fucking heart-wrenching, man. There was also a Halo series. It was alright, I've heard. Master Chief got his arse out. And then there was Fallout. A fantastically diverse sci-fi adventure drama with a bunch of really interesting characters, all on incredibly separate journeys that all converge incredibly naturalistically. There's an incredible amount in this show if you are a fan of the games. But there is just as much if you aren't. And therein lies the reason why these work so well. These video games have got amazing stories to tell. These artists have amazing ways to tell stories. Through writing, through production, and through performance. We have been given shows, the likes of which we haven't seen before. And that's because they've been given something that the predecessors didn't have. Respect and time. These shows work because of the time and the talent that are working on these shows, giving it 1000% every day that they are working. Taking the bloater encounter from The Last of Us would make good TV, but having a bloater on its own rip a man's head off, showing the fear in Joel's eyes as he starts to tremble whilst Ellie climbs into a vehicle that she's encountering a clicker in, whilst everybody is trying to escape the sheer mass volume of the infected that are shown on screen, just how dangerous they can be in numbers. All of that is what elevates The Last of Us show to that next level. Also, by the way that The Last of Us adapted Jess's death is just disgusting. And I love it. The handling of the ghoul in Fallout is another prime example, showing before the bombs fell the man that he wanted to be, the man he didn't want to be, and after the bombs fell, now he is just a man trying to grip onto his humanity, and he's looking for the very thing that made him human. That is one character's story in a sea of amazing character stories. No show is without its flaws, obviously, but the fact that we are now moving towards a space where video games stories can be told in consumable chunks on TV in a way that everybody can access, because let's be honest, some people can't work controllers. Have you ever seen your parents working a TV remote? When it's all said and done, if you're a fan of series, it's an exciting time to be a video game fan. Me personally, I would love to see a TV show adaptation of Detroit Become Human, because I think that would translate to TV insanely well if it's handled right with the right talent. But you might have different ideas, and if you do, I would love to nerd out about them with you in the comments below. What a wholesome end to this trilogy. Speaking of endings, there's one last thing that we've got to take care of. That's better. Come on. You wanted to see me, sir? Yeah, I did. You're fired. What? I just got done with the whole investigation. You're finished, kid. We can't afford to do these investigations anymore. We're stretched thin as it is, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's only 2 people that work in this precinct, and I am just you with a mustache. Well, what if there was a way? What if there was a way that we could keep doing these investigations? What the hell are you talking about? Have you ever heard of Patreon? Patreon is a fantastic way that you folks can support everything that we do here. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to an exclusive podcast that goes up after every video. What the fuck are you looking at, detective? It's just you and me here. You've gone completely off the deep end. You're just one guy standing in a room with a green screen. What are you saying that for? Oh, we ran out of money. I want to thank my patrons like Owen Rico, Barry the Awesome, Maven, Casey, and Hugo Hatt for their continued support. If you do wish to support me on Patreon, you can follow the link in the description below. Now, shit, I've left him outside.